I've got exciting news. We've got sticker merch. Mouthful with Shanti brings you captivating conversations that cut through the bullshit while laughing about it. We elevate marginalized voices. We shoot the shit. We have a good time. Support this very free podcast and its production costs by donating to my Venmo at Shanti Charan, ShantiCharan. DM me your address after you Venmo. I will mail you one of our new stickers. Thank you again for your support.
There was a time in my life when I was burnt out of the culinary industry and I was realizing I had some negative patterns around men and relationships. And so I started to do some healing, some therapy. I did plant medicine, ayahuasca. So how it started, I was dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome. Doctors didn't know what it is, but they thought it was some sort of like chronic fatigue. So I was just really tired and I just didn't have the energy for life. I wasn't doing anything creative. I didn't love what I did. I was celibate, wasn't dating. And so I was reading about color psychology and how the color red is used to stimulate digestion. It's the color of blood. It's actually a warming color. And so I started to wear it more. And that started to be kind of a source of joy in the morning. I would play around with warming colors. And I realized that there was something there with fashion. And then I got a sewing machine. I was like, you know what? The clothing that I want to create doesn't exist, or it's too expensive, or it's just not accessible to me. Because I was a cook, and cooks are poor. So I was like, great, we're going to make our own clothing, got a sewing machine. And I just started to create, isn't there that saying that like if there's something in the world that doesn't exist, go out and make it, right? Something like that. So I was like, I'm gonna make the clothes. Also, I forgot to share this with you, but I was inspired by Burning Man. I went to Burning Man around the time that I was experiencing this burnout, and I saw people just unabashedly expressing themselves, within festival culture. And I thought to myself, I want to do this, but in the real world.
Why limit it to festival culture?
Exactly. So I realized I felt really comfortable wearing these really colorful outfits, these really funky, kind of shapes, and that as someone who's usually more introverted, I actually didn't mind people coming up to me and talking to me, because now, like this morning, I went for the first time to the Alameda Antique Fair. And I had people come up to me about my clothing. And usually I shy away from talking to people, but now I get to talk to people about my favorite thing in the world, about fashion.
Also, I just want to say right now, I'm going to share a hesitation I had, and I'm going to share this with the audience. I feel like when we talk about clothing and colors and fashion, I feel like it gets pushed into a feminine space. And I just want to say to anyone who isn't identifying as a woman that this topic is a gender neutral topic. So any men, your dicks aren't going to get smaller if you listen to this, and your masculinity is not going to be challenged. In hindsight, I actually think you might even your dick might get bigger, because you'll be like, wow, I have confidence in my ability to wear the things that showcase me in the ways I want. And so I feel great. And so before we start, I just wanted to give that little precursor message.
Yeah, I love that, because what I love about clothing is it's about honoring where you are and who you are. So if that's wearing neutrals and being a neutral king or whatever you identify of, own that. I have started to own that I'm feminine more and more, and so I'm going deep on that.
What took you from being in the culinary space to being in the style and fashion space?
It's quite a change. So I've always had a major love of food. Like, my mom has stories that as a kid, she was a stay-at-home mom, ran a daycare, and she would make homemade food. And there was one instance when she just had to give me pre-made food, and I refused to eat it. And that was kind of the trajectory of my palate and my love of food. I loved food as a kid to the point where my kind of coping mechanism was eating. So I went to culinary school. It was fun. But I always kind of in the back of my head felt like, but it's not quite, like the pay isn't right. My first job out of culinary school, I went to culinary school in New York.
And it seems like a really stressful environment also.
10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of conversation around toxic masculinity in kitchens. But it was really, really hard to
Yeah.
you know, endure that and not really have a name for it, and it just really burnt me out.
Yeah.
It was too much.
And that's what it does do to women in
Yeah.
male-dominated fields. You get burnt out eventually.
I was in my first kitchen, it was an Indian restaurant in the Flatiron district. There were 40 cooks, 2 were female. And I also, like, my personality type is just, I'm sweet, graceful. I'm not assertive. I'm learning to accept that, but I couldn't change myself to fit that mold.
Yeah.
And so eventually, like, when I moved to San Francisco 10 years ago, I got into catering. That was much more calm, a lot more women, because you know, a lot of women, they weren't able to sustain those careers in kitchens. And then I found a great job as a pastry cook under a pastry chef. And I love that because there are more females in the pastry industry. And it's also like it's just calmer. Yeah. You're not on the hotline. You're like making cakes.
No one's getting angry about a pie.
No.
You know?
We're going to be okay. We have other things to deal with. Yeah. Oh my God. It's food. It's supposed to be made with love. That's why our parents' and our mom's food is so much better, in my opinion. I really think that energy and that love is palpable. Yeah. Around the time that I realized that pastry was a much better route for me, because I had gone to culinary school for like savory and a little pastry, I started sewing. And so I sewed for a few years, and I was still working in the food industry, and I was kind of like itching for my way out. And this was around the pandemic. I'm trying to think of the story. Anyway, this was in the pandemic, and I just saw a lot of people taking steps away from careers that just weren't right for them, or they just didn't have jobs because of the pandemic. Things were starting to change. Yeah. And I decided to take a leap of faith and make festival fashion. Yeah. So I was selling these really cool coats that were like covered in flowers, which I one day want to like bring back. Yeah. And that was really hard because I just don't have the fashion design and the fashion business skills. So I think I just needed to take a little time. And then eventually realized personal style is a good route to being able to help people one-on-one while I still build a brand, because that's there. And that makes me really happy to hear that I've helped you, because it's something that I don't...
It even came out in what we're wearing right now. Yeah. We didn't plan this. I was just like, I'm feeling
You're
neon
feeling
greeny.
The neon and the pink.
And then you came in and you're like, I'm feeling neon-y too. And I was like, you're going to think we planned this shit.
Yeah.
We're just like, wow,
we didn't plan it.
Connecting.
I know. We're buzzy. But I was thinking today about personal style and like, okay, when I boil it down to what I do feel like I'm in the business of helping people and bring us into joy. Like, this should be joyful. At the end of the day, it's about you. Yeah. And it's about how you feel in it. So if you feel confident and no one's going to like it, then great.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like it's a really good tool, personal style, for training us to really be unweathered by other people's opinions.
Yeah. So when you're styling someone, how do you approach styling them?
Yeah, so a few things. One of my favorite ways to start, just so I can kind of get a sense of where people are going, because oftentimes there's some sort of like life transformation or just kind of wanting to make a change, is I ask them, what are 3 adjectives that you aspire to, or maybe you want to feel when you get dressed? Okay. So for you, Shanti, what are 3 adjectives?
Oh my gosh, now I got to know what the fucking adjective is. No, I'm just kidding. I guess comfortable. Like, I feel like comfortable means confident to me. Yeah. So, comfortable, fun, and powerful.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
And do you feel like this outfit embodies that?
Yeah.
Fun, comfortable, and powerful.
Yeah, the pants are a little loose, so I feel comfy when I'm sitting. It's not tight, like cutting into me, where I'm like, oh my God, this is going up my vagina. And so I'm comfy here. I feel fun because it's a fun color and it makes me feel alive. I feel powerful because I'm like showing my arms a little bit. And so I feel like, oh yeah, look at my fucking strong arms. You know? And so, yeah, I feel all those three things here.
Nice. And you're also running a podcast.
Yeah.
Looking awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm comfortable in my space. So I want to be comfortable
Yeah.
on camera. So I feel that right now.
Love it. I feel like you're exuding that too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I never actually thought about that when I think about my outfits. What are the three things that I want to give off, you know?
Yeah, or even feel for yourself. Even if it's not about giving off, because sometimes I feel like we get into the headspace of like, what am I giving?
Yeah,
but
actually, let me rephrase.
Focus on Shanti.
Yes. What are the three things that I want to feel?
To other people naturally.
Exactly. How do you feel like you are ethical about fashion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that's always on my mind, especially because I'm in fashion. I sell fashion. I work for New Works. I sew, so I buy fabric. But I am conscious of how I consume. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've gotten into, and I think this conversation came up around the pandemic because people were like, clothing, what am I doing? What do I actually need now? Because I don't have as many needs.
Yeah.
So the one thing I started getting into taking care of clothing, because that's literally the most ethical thing that we can do. We're not bringing in anything new. We're just helping increase the longevity of our clothing.
Yeah.
So diving into that.
I don't think people think about that, enough. And I feel like we throw our things around, and maybe it's because some things are cheap and we only assume to wear them 2 or 3 times. So you're like, whatever, I'll just wash it like however I want, or I'm not going to hang it or whatever. But that's, that just fucks shit up for later.
Exactly. And I think this is where it comes in that we should be working on buying more quality things over quantity, because then we know the price tag of that piece, so we're more willing to invest in caring for it. And I also feel like I'm sure you're familiar with Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
I really love how she puts love and care for her clothing, because I feel like that actually does help the longevity of our clothing.
Yeah.
And I do think it's worth, when we do buy clothing, to invest in things that are more expensive, because fast fashion is just, it's not here to stay.
Yeah. And the thing that sucks about that, though, is also we live in this capitalist world that is like, hey, you should be having new outfits, outfit of the day. And then so you have this hashtag outfit of the day, which essentially promotes a lot of different outfits. And so the multiplicative sense of it means you should be spending more money. And that's when it's like, this is something I kind of hate about fashion, because it's like, I'm down to spend money on a quality item, but why should we feel bad about re-wearing the things that we have? Like, I don't want to buy 20 different things. I just want to have like 3 and feel okay about wearing them all the time.
Right. And you want to have more of like a capsule wardrobe.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point, because something that annoys me, I'm also in the sewing community. I actually feel a little bit more connected to the sewing community than the fashion world, because the fashion world is so big. And It's a big monster. But something that I've been seeing more of is these, like, I don't know the exact hashtag, but it's like rewear sort of thing. And so people are starting to share in the sewing community things that they've made from the past, because like for me, as someone who sews, it takes me a long time from the planning to the cutting to the sewing. I don't just want to do one share. I want to continue to share, different ways I've styled it, or just like,
it's like a song.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we only playing this song once?
We can just sing it. It is so awesome.
Yeah.
So something that I want to start doing, because I do, have somewhat of a following with sewers and people who are interested in colorful fashion, is to start to reshare my things and say, hey, this thing that I wore in maternity, I wore it to a wedding this weekend.
Yeah.
And I think, like, after seeing that from a few other sewists, it's almost like I had this kind of breath of relief, like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
We can keep wearing things and be cool. It's actually cool to have things that are, like, known as us. Like this shirt on you. Someone will see it in a comedy show and be like, oh, yeah, in your podcast.
Yeah.
Love that shirt.
I did feel that, because I wore this black and blue zebra type top recently that I've been loving, and I wore it on 3 different things, all things I posted, and I was like, everyone's just gonna think I have one shirt, and I was like, I don't give a shit, but I like this shirt.
Yeah, but I don't think people think that anymore. This was my birthday outfit. The old me would be like, no, you wear that for your birthday, and the new me is like, this brings me joy.
Yeah,
I want to bring this joy to the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm wearing it again.
Yeah. So I guess, what is the line between healthy and unhealthy consumerism, and how do you navigate being an influencer in that space while being true to your own moral spectrum?
Yeah. I think that's a great question, and it's something that I like am continuing to dissect because I do have more followers than I did when I started sewing. And one thing, like we were talking about, is I want to start bringing up more around the conversation of rewearing things and like having pieces that, you know, you will have for a long time. I think it's important now that I make less and I sew less because there was a point, especially when I was learning to sew, and I was like, I need to sew everything. And I also, like, it was great to do that from a learning standpoint, but I think now that I've like covered the basis of what I need to know with sewing, and I also really want to empower people to be more aware of the clothing that they already have. And like, if you can learn to sew, like hemming or even mending, it brings a lot of joy. And anything that I feel like we touch with sewing or upcycling, we put our time and attention into that. And I think we're more likely to rewear it, to swap it, to take better care of it.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying about if we take the time and energy to sew something to be more sustainable with our clothing, you will treat it better because that's how I am with anything that I do that takes my time. If I clean the bathroom, I'm so good with the bathroom. The following week, I'm like, I just cleaned this shit. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to do good by it. I know, right? And so I think maybe that's a thing. We're not in, if we just invested some time into, those things.
Yeah, like if we knew how much time, as a non-sewist, like it took to make a certain pair of pants, we would be treating them much differently.
Yeah. An idea for repurposing maybe in the future. I have some Indian clothing that I haven't worn for a really long time, and they're outdated, but it's beautiful cloth and a lot of intricate work done on them. Maybe we can have a future project or something where we can figure out how we can repurpose some Indian outfits. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, what I love about repurposing is so often we have things that just aren't us anymore, or don't fit, or just from another time in our life, but there's love there. And I think it's important that we give them a new life. And so I'd love to do that with you.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it's kind of out of style. But the beadwork and the cloth and the colors are beautiful, but it's just hanging in there. They're not living out their destiny.
Yeah, but they're there, and you're going to use them. Yeah. And also you can kind of like, I think it's good to have them in your closet and to start just sitting with what would you like to make from them? Like going out and looking for some inspiration.
I want to show my waist.
So much. Yes.
I want to show skin.
You should do like a crop.
Yeah.
A crop and a skirt. Just do like a mini top, like even a bralette and a skirt. And you say, you know what? My old self would be really uncomfortable with this, but guess what? Mama's coming out.
Yeah. And actually, it's very also true to my culture as an Indian person because I'm not letting it go to waste.
Oh.
Yeah, nice, the outfit is being reborn. There you go.
Reborn.
Hey.
Oh, my God.
Hindu joke.
Oh, got it. It's second life.
Tell me about how you see social media influencers being unhealthy with how they promote clothing.
Yeah, I think how I'll share that is like what I feel like I've internalized and what I'm trying to kind of unpack. And that's like always wearing new things, always like, having new pieces in all of my posts.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm seeing in like not only the, the fashion community, but also the sewing community where it's all about churning out the next thing and making the next thing. And actually like making fabric takes a lot of resources and it's not good for the environment. And so I think what it takes is really normalizing and promoting rewearing things and capsule wardrobes and really, focusing on the pieces that we love and they'll get a lot of wear rather than just, churning out new clothing. I'm just curious about your background as an Indian because the colors are so rich and the patterns, and if that had any influence on you or if you rebelled against it or just weren't as exposed.
I love it now. I think, unfortunately, growing up, I was a fat kid. I was a fat kid, and I think the look that Indian movies promoted with their women and the clothing made me feel like that wasn't attainable for me because I didn't have that waist and I didn't have that body. And so when I went to Indian functions, it was always a difficult thing figuring out an outfit. And so I think that kind of harmed my relationship with Indian clothing then. And so I actually have not gone shopping for a new Indian outfit in, I would probably say, I don't know, maybe a decade.
Do we need to go shopping together?
Maybe because now I have a newfound confidence about myself, and I've never actually worn a sari. I've worn my mom's sari at home.
Oh, but
I've
never
tried.
to a function,
I've
which
never
is a big
worn
deal,
a
wearing
sari
it
to a
wedding.
function. I've always worn lehengas or more youthful women's outfits, and rather than grown woman outfit, because it shows the waist. So I felt like I was kind of maybe hiding myself because I, wasn't fulfilling what I needed to look like to wear those things. In my newfound confidence of who I am today, which I feel like, of course, we're always changing. I feel like I haven't tried that yet as that me. And so maybe we could try that. That could be fun.
That would be cool. I know I was also a fat kid, and that was a coping mechanism for me. So I think I just spent a lot of my life, my younger years, making myself smaller and smaller in all the ways, hiding myself.
I think that's what I felt too. Like, if I hide myself, no one will know I'm fat. Like, I felt like that. And then I won't get picked on if nobody knows I'm fat. So if I don't wear bright colors, they won't see my fat body. And if I wear big things, they won't know what body is underneath there. And just to avoid being seen because I was going to get made fun of.
Yeah.
I think now we're kind of unpacking this in real time. I'm just realizing it right now.
And I just had this other thought that came up when you just shared that, which was I'm now remembering a lot of the things that I wore, and they were things that were hiding my body because my
windbreaker jacket.
Well, the one thing that I wore, because I don't think I had a pair of pants until I was in middle school, because they just didn't make pants that fit fat kids. I wore overalls and I wore stretch pants with big shirts under. But it's so interesting because now I'm thinking of like children who are growing up now and who are fat. They may have more options and more acceptance, hopefully.
They do. I feel like I see bellies, which is fine. I see bellies out. I see arms out. And it motivates me a little bit. Yeah. When I see younger kids embodying themselves the way they want without the restrictions of what are people going to think, I see it and they motivate me.
Yeah, totally.
I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to show it.
Bodies, and they have much less baggage. They're like, my mom loves this and so does my dad. So I look great. Like, I'm so glad you're starting life with that in your head.
I know, because I'm still battling it today with trying to unlearn those things. Yeah.
Something that I'm really excited to kind of program for my son is allowing him to lead with how he eats. Because as a kid, preparing for a podcast, I had this memory of not being allowed seconds when I was really hungry at this like one party.
Yeah.
And how that was really, really tough for me, and a kind of a big moment, like, oh man, I can't, there's like a certain way to eat, right?
Yeah.
Like listening to my hunger is not how I should go about eating.
Yeah.
So my son, he has a minor heart condition. So it's important that he always has enough weight to sustain a surgery. That was like something that the doctors brought up when he was born. Like, great, he has meat on him.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to give that to him because as a child, my eating was restricted.
Yeah.
And so I feel like even now I'm learning that, no, you have to trust yourself, trust your body. It's okay.
Yeah. Building a positive relationship with food. I hope you're wearing this as your birthday outfit on your 75th birthday. Maybe not the same outfit because it may not last that long, even though you'll keep it, you'll treat it well. And maybe your body will be different, which is okay. You may not fit, but I hope you're showing your ass still.
Oh, I'll be showing this birthday booty. Yeah.
I feel like, a lot of women, I feel like they're probably, and I'm sure you face this as a stylist, hesitation from women to try out certain clothing because of how old they are.
Yeah, all the time. And it's so interesting how it comes out. Women say it without even noticing. Like, I'm too old for this. No, that shouldn't exist in your vocabulary. Do you want to wear it?
Yeah.
That's all you need to ask yourself is, do you want to wear it? Obviously, like, there's like some things that are offensive, but generally speaking, I think anti-aging has been so fed into women, into women's bodies. And after having a child and going through childbirth, I am so amazed at my body that I actually want to show more of it. That's why for my birthday, I wore a thong at the Cheesecake Factory.
You're like, I was going to be my birthday suit.
Booty. It was, yeah, closest to the birthday suit that I could wear at Cheesecake Factory. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like ageism, we internalize it. You know, because even in some clothing, I see women's clothing and it's like, you should probably cover this part up and you should probably cover that up for older women. Like when I look at clothes that are made for women, let's say, I don't know, 40 something above, it's very like modest, you know, like, oh, your arms, they're probably gross. So you should cover them up. And it's like, fuck off. Why are you clothing line, whatever fucking Dress Barn, Ross, bullshit, making me cover my shit up.
Yeah. I feel like now that I'm in my mid-30s and I'm seeing the areas that just change, I feel more offended by these companies.
Let us show our shit off. We've been doing stuff for so long.
Yeah, let us be visible.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Aging is inevitable, and I feel like I have more fun as I get older with my body.
Yeah. Yeah, there it goes with trying to hide again, you know, trying to be hidden. It's in those ways with like, hey, you're getting older. You should probably start hiding yourself now.
Right. Time to be small again.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer, you know, reproductive and fertile and beautiful. I feel like something that I didn't expect to face is how society treats pregnant bodies.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant, I noticed that all of the fashion was like really dim and uncomfortable and like it was almost like you're treating someone with a condition. So after Rihanna got pregnant a couple years ago and started showing her belly, that really inspired me. So if I ever get pregnant again, full on belly out. Why are we hiding our belly?
So going with feelings into our last question.
Okay.
How can anyone, your friends, your family, the people in your life, how can someone better love you?
Better love me?
Yeah.
That's so sweet. How can they better love me? In what context?
I guess just like in what way do you ever feel like misunderstood, where you feel like navigating this world, you know, if people could be more like this with me, I feel like it would be so much more amazing.
Okay, here's what I think of. It has to do with me.
Yeah.
I think if people understood that if I don't reach out, I still love them so much. I'm just not the best at reaching out. It's something I'm working on, but I love them so much. I'm a lover.
Awesome. And what would you say if someone wants to better love clothing? What would be a tip that you would give someone if they're listening?
Better love clothing.
Yeah,
in general,
and just like
and
explore, and they're listening and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Well, you know, I think there is a new narrative around fashion that's starting to develop, which is fashion is for everybody.
Yeah.
Screw high fashion. Fashion is about expression, and we all deserve to be expressed. We're all wonderful and special and unique and weird, and fashion is the first avenue that people get an impression of you, so you can feel comfortable to be yourself.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Say your social medias.
Oh, yeah. So my social medias, I am starting to take clients at the end of the summer. And you can find me on Instagram, Inanna Solveig, INANNA SOLVEIG. You can also find me on TikTok. You can find me in Oakland. I'm in the Bay Area.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing the show.
It was really great to be here.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Follow at what she just spelled out because now I can't spell it off the top of my head. And so you just heard it. And thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Express yourself. Use more color or not. Whatever makes you feel good. As long as you're feeling the way you want to feel. And have a good one.
Have a good one.
All right. Yay! I've got exciting news. We've got sticker merch. Mouthful with Shanti brings you captivating conversations that cut through the bullshit while laughing about it. We elevate marginalized voices. We shoot the shit. We have a good time. Support this very free podcast and its production costs by donating to my Venmo at Shanti Charan, ShantiCharan. DM me your address after you Venmo. I will mail you one of our new stickers. Thank you again for your support.